Good morning. It is August 26, 10:01. At this time, I'll call to order Eldon Callan.
I say, I don't know Ed Callan.
Eldon Callan.
I don't think there's an Ed Callan.
Here.
No, it's Ed Callan. Eldon's Callan's here.
Okay. Ed Hawkins.
Here.
Tom Bloom, we're all here. We stand for a moment of silent meditation and then a pledge to the flag. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Consents and approvals.
33 exonerations, $27,644.34. Fiduciary orders as of August 26th and statement of services for George Armistead and Lynn Crane. Minutes of August 12 and 19. Vouchers, General County Fund, $102,723.67. General County Fund purchasing card, $3,988.44. Coal Severance Fund, $1,823.63. Mason-Dixon Park, $1,249.33. Home Confinement Fund, $821.80. 911 cash, $1,234.44. For a total of $111,841.31.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes. Great. Comments from the public? Is there anyone here from the public? Seeing none, we'll go to Ms. Renetta McClure and grants.
Just have one reimbursement request today. It's the Day Report Center grant for the month of July 2015, $17,126.96.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It passes.
If you recall, back in the beginning of July, we had a public hearing for the JAG grant, Department of Justice grant for the Sheriff's Department, the amount of $17,464. That application was submitted, and we actually did receive the approval. This is for the motorcycle, Harley-Davidson motorcycle that they want to buy for the department. So I have the grant award, contract, special conditions, and assurances are standard. Just asking for the president's signature on the grant award.
Move to approve and authorize the president to sign.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Since it says 10:15, should we wait?
Yeah, it's public hearing.
Okay.
You gotta wait till
Yeah.
10:15.
Okay, we'll hold off.
We
And
can be
we're
late.
still
we just
early
can't
with
be early.
farmland preservation. And we're also early with Holly Childs isn't here yet. Can we go to correspondence?
I just wanted to let you know that we have received the intergovernmental agreement for dog warden services from the city of Morgantown. That's been signed and approved by them. I have requisition for payment number 7, University Town Center administrative expense for Series 2014 D&C taxable University Town Center EODD interchange project, amount of $748.12. I have several of these. Do you want to just approve them all
Yes.
together?
Yes, please.
The second is requisition for payment number 7, University Town Center administrative expense, Series 2014 A taxable, in the amount of $748.13, and that's amount is split between two separate accounts. Requisition for payment from administrative expense fund, requisition number 2, $712.50, and also for the Town of Star City TIF, District Number 1, they're submitting for consideration invoice totaling $1,680 from CTL Engineering for the Star City TIF.
Okay, I'm requesting all 4 requisition payments be in the same motion, if that could be.
Yeah, I don't think there's a problem with it, unless anyone objects. I'd move that we approve all 4 of them.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes. Okay, do you have any other correspondence?
No.
Okay. Unfinished business, dedication. How do you want to do it?
Everything is going fine. I'm working with the Bar Association. We're getting agreeing on the invitation, September the 15th, 1:30. I'll invite the public to be there. It's going well.
Okay. Is there any other unfinished business?
No.
Okay. Moving on quickly. Gosh, we are. New business, work session procedures, minutes, recordings, and et cetera, and you might want to just give a update or what was discussed last time and why we're here now again.
I don't know if any of you have had really an opportunity to think about it or talk about it, but there was some question as to whether the minutes should be taken of the work session. There are no decisions made. It's our time to explain things to you without decisions being made. So I didn't know if you want, what your pleasure is on taking care of that. Do you want to wait until we move upstairs and do something more permanent, or?
I think I mean, I don't want to be spending a lot more money. We got to be very careful with our money. And we've got some major renovations to do here. So before we take on something that's really not necessary, it provides no service to the public because it's really not required. We're going over, above and beyond what's required by the statute on these work sessions. And I would rather we just wait until we decide on the new offices, figure out how to set up. We got very qualified people here. Set up a meeting facility room that will have all the equipment set up for it. Why waste money now that we could use later to make a better facility just a few months from now? That's my opinion.
I don't know if you noticed, but on the work session agenda today, I, at your request, added those who will be present.
Right.
And just our general, I just
then-
added that as a change. That's all we need to
Right.
do.
I mean, we changed it, but it's really not necessary.
In this regard, I do disagree with you, Eldon. I
That's
think
fine.
it's important that the public know what goes into the discussion for a decision to be made later. And as of yet, to my knowledge, we've had no appraisal or estimate of what the actual fee would be. I did question Mike informally. He said that he would be willing to do it at first for no charge. So I think that it should be explored and get a fee as to what we would expect from having the minutes. It's also my opinion that most of us are here at 9 o'clock. Quite frankly, it would be easier to start at 9 and continue into the work session, and then whatever needs to be resigned or adjourned for lunch, come back, finish up. That's my opinion.
Basically, yeah, I see both sides. I mean, I see what Eldon's saying now about waiting till we move up. At the same time, we did make a change last week, did we not, on your motion that we,
All we did was just add the names
right,
as to who's present, and it's just on the agenda, and then if they're not present, they'll just mark it off as part of the record. All that is totally unnecessary. You know, here, are we going to start talking movable commission meetings again? I mean, we've been through that. 10 o'clock Wednesday works fine for everybody. And if we start at 9 o'clock, that means the staff and everyone has to be in here at 8. So it works fine. It's worked fine for years. Leave it alone. That's my opinion. You all decide what you want to do.
I'm not so adamant about moving or changing the time. I am more adamant about wanting to have the minutes and the recording.
I mean, if we're going to do it, I think we still have to look at it. I think, Eldon, you brought up one point that concerned me, which was, do we have to put that out to bid, or if it goes over a certain amount? I think that's something we have to look at to clarify. The other question is, and I don't want to go to the Ethics Committee to ask the question, but I think we just need to get a clarification. If we do taping, is that fine? I mean, will that clarify, or do we have to actually have written minutes, or
No,
can
I've
we
already
just
been
go
through
with
that.
what?
I read the law last week. I will give you all another class and read the law to you again. I read the law clearly. It is not required unless the official action is taken.
Okay.
Official action is those acts that are done. That's not decisions on whether someone goes to training. It's not decisions as to whether we have this on this date. Those are all administrative. Official action is defined by the statute, and I'm taking it off the top of my head, but I read it to you last week. are those actions that are done by virtue of our office, of our position. That's official action. In other words, we pass a resolution. We spend county funds. We do something that because of our position, we take that action. That's official action. Whether we hang a painting here or a picture here or a diploma here, that's administrative. And it's done by our administrators. That's what we have. They because we did not delegate full authority on everything, they check with us on administrative decisions. But administrative decisions are not covered under statute. It's official action. So we're given notice on these work sessions. We've never done any official action. And as I said last week, I mean, if someone's making a decision in the work session, shame on that commissioner. I'm not making a decision. I never make a decision until I absolutely have to. I never commit to anything until I absolutely have to. That's the way it's done. Work sessions are not, all they are educational, and I read that too. They are accepted from those meetings that are bound by the open meeting law. I don't have the paper in front of me, but I read it last week. Educational, social, get-togethers, things, forums, things we try to learn, open houses, like we went up for that, the groundbreaking, things like that. Those are not covered by the open meeting law. They're specifically accepted in there. Our work sessions are specifically accepted there. So there is no legal requirement to do any of these things. We've just done it out as a courtesy to the public and out of courtesy primarily to the media so that they know what's going on. As long as whatever we do does not spend taxpayers' money, I get so tired of seeing taxpayers' money being spent to benefit the elected officials rather than benefit the citizens. I fight for every penny to be spent better have service to the citizens. That's my concern, and that's my position. You know, you all decide what you want to do.
My position is still that I think that the public is deserving of seeing the information that we get, Eldon. That's the point, not on time conservation. You know, I mean, it's really, to me, there's a lot of discussion that we get in the work sessions, and it's important, I think, that they understand, the public understand why the decision would be made from the information that's disseminated at a work session. I know it's not necessary. I understand that.
Well, again, I guess I don't object if it's not going to cost too much. I don't really have an objection to it. It bothers me when we spend taxpayers' money.
Well, we haven't
actually
had an estimate of what it would cost to do so. I mean, you know, so we're discussing without, you know, having a fee.
Well, we got to be careful too, and I appreciate Mike's offer and all. But there's also issues about donated services. I mean, we got to be careful about that. I mean, you can't necessarily take donated services over here while you're paying for something else over here. I mean, it creates a potential conflict. I'm not saying it is a conflict. I'm not saying that's really a problem. I'm just saying before we'd accept something like that, we would have to look at it very closely. It's up to you, Tom.
Well, how about this? Why don't we, if the other two would agree, that we would ask the administration by the first meeting in October to come up with our different options and then to discuss it at a work session, and then we make the decision from there, and then we could put it on the agenda from there. So that gives them time, because I know our agenda is really filling up in September, but that gives about 4 weeks, and see what all the different options and concerns are, and then make the recommendation at a work session. See what all the options are, discuss at a work session, then we could bring it to that. How's that sound?
I don't have a problem with that. I always had a practice, and I did as a magistrate, I've done as a lawyer. Whenever I make a decision, and you've heard me do it here, I announced the basis of my decision, of where it came from, why I decided the way I did. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, who knows? But no, I appreciate that. Let's just be careful with the money. That's all I'm asking.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we're in verbal agreement. There's no need to be a motion that we're going to make, so we can resolve that. Thank you very much. Let's go back. It's past 10:15. Tom Ammon, Steptoe and Johnson. Number one, to conduct a public hearing in connection with the proposal approval by the County Commission of a new project plan to be known as Project Plan Number 2, Maple Drive Improvement Project for the existing Monongalia County Development Number 3. So we have to have a public hearing at this time, is that not correct? So I now open for anyone who'd like to speak at this public hearing.
Maybe at the start of the public hearing, Tom would just expound on he talked about it last week, but just to make sure it's
You want to give a Cliff
consistent.
Notes version of,
A shorter version?
yeah,
of
Cliff Notes.
What's been discussed previously. So at this point, procedurally, the commission adopted a resolution setting the public hearing date for today. We reviewed generally what's in this application binder, which is basically the widening of the existing Maple Drive within the existing right-of-way. They have, unfortunately, with that roadway, there are some structures that are very close to the right-of-way, and they're limited as to what they can do as far as widening the road. But within those confines, they'd like to widen the road, install a sidewalk on one side of the road, bury the utility lines in that area, resurface the road. CTL Engineering has been hired to do a study and design that work and prepare a cost estimate. They are working through their final designs with Department of Highways. They have a cost estimate that is roughly about $9.5 million all-in costs for this particular engineering fees, everything. They're doing some value engineering work to try to bring those costs down a little bit because there's only so much that the TIF bonds can support, so they're trying to match up the funding with the project.
Okay.
At the last meeting, I gave you all the binders. You've had a chance to review those. Everything is in the binder. This is the application. That's it. That's what will be submitted to the development office. And the resolution today, so a public hearing is required by the statute. Anyone can voice and make any comment they have with respect to the application and the proposed project. And then from there, you all would be asked to consider for adoption a resolution which would approve submitting the application to the West Virginia Development Office.
Okay.
Did Bill Austin get you the stuff?
He did.
Yeah.
And we had a good discussion. He sent me the policy and also the bicycle plan, which is a more detailed study and analysis. And we discussed that this particular project, their role is essentially to make recommendations.
Right.
And they have done that, and they understand the restraints that we're trying to work within as far as the width of the roadway and the available funds from the TIF to actually complete the project. So their recommendation and request is that the road be widened to the extent that it can be, and also the addition of sidewalks and the bearing of the power lines for pedestrians. And that the sidewalk would facilitate the pedestrian ingress and egress in that area. And then the widening of the road would help with the bicycles, and also some signage they've asked to be put up, essentially share the road signs
Right.
in that area. So I've passed all this along to Mon General, the developer for the project, and their engineer, and they have worked those into their designs to the extent that it's supportable by the budget.
We understand. We had talked previously, as has Bill Rice and Bill Austin, with Darrell Duncan, as have I. It's not a question of their commitment to it, because I believe they had a commitment to it. I just want to make sure the specifics was passed on.
Yeah.
It sounds like you passed all
Absolutely.
to the key person, the engineer.
Yeah.
I appreciate your review. So again, I'll open up for public comments again, just so everyone knows. Again, the public comment at any time anyone wants to speak on this. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Number 2, to consider for adoption by the County Commission following a public hearing, a resolution which would approve the submission of a tax increment financing application for the proposed approval by the County Commission of a new project plan known as Project Plan Number 2 Maple Drive Improvement Project for the existing Mon County Development District Number 3.
Move to approve project plan number 2 Maple Drive Improvement District for the existing Monongalia County Development District Number 3.
Second.
It's been probably moved and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, then I call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. I don't know if this is the right time to bring up that other issue that we received a letter on, or do we need to meet with Ms. Damon in executive session? I don't know if that's under executive session or not, concerning the letter we received from 911 administration. I don't
It
know.
wasn't a letter, it was a phone call.
Oh, it was a phone call.
Yeah.
Since it's generally a phone call, I think it should be open to the public. What is your?
I'm a total loss. I don't know what you're
Oh.
talking about. I don't know what
Okay,
you're talking about.
then I'm going to ask that you explain a question that's been brought up, and we need you to be aware of it, and that's we weren't sure what to do. Okay.
Because of the construction of the new road to Mon General, there may be some connection with some building, I don't want to say failures, because the building's safe. There are some issues with the 911 center, some settling of land that may have to do with the construction of that roadway. And how do we?
Settling that has already occurred or that may occur?
That has.
Has occurred.
That has. There's some leakage from behind the building. Could be because of the change in the slope.
Is this
There's-
a guess at this time?
I think-
or-
Yes.
It is.
Is this-
That's what we don't know.
It may be
Well,
connected with.
I see why you
This
might
is-
have considered
That's
it being
why-
an executive session, because it creates a stir that maybe there's no basis.
Exactly, and I don't know.
This is not, is this Maple Drive or is this the?
No,
what they
it's
call
that,
Mon
it's the new
General?
access road that goes
Yeah,
in front of
okay.
911 center, is what I'm sure where they're talking
Yes, I
about,
wasn't
because
sure.
that's, you're not talking about the old drive in front of there, it's the new.
No, it's the new
new
roadway
one.
that run. Do you know
And-
where the 911 center is located, Tom?
No.
Okay, it's before Sundale. It's just before Sundale,
All right.
and then turn up to the hospital.
On the right there?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't know if by approving this would help, this would cause more I mean, we don't know what the
No,
problem.
this has
Yeah.
nothing to do with that.
That,
Those are-
okay.
Those two things I think
separate
are
issues.
totally
are totally separate issues.
unrelated.
Is that-
And you gotta remember now that Tom is our attorney. We don't wanna get this confused. He's our attorney.
Right.
Okay? So if you're asking him to inquire about this, I think is what you're asking, right?
Is the road in the TIF?
Yes.
Ye-
It was
yes.
built,
Okay.
it was
Yes.
built by TIF money.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There may be absolutely no connection.
Isn't
Yeah.
the road below the 911?
Yeah, well, that's what they're talking about. They're
Yeah.
talking about, they're guessing, I guess, from what she just said,
It's slip,
that
yeah.
it's created a slip situation.
We
I don't know. It sounds like it's all a guess.
Yeah,
That's
and the building is safe. They're working there.
Yeah.
There's no danger of it collapsing in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so we don't want to get that, but there is a question, so how would you,
What have been asked to be done? What
they're not
was-
sure.
It was just brought to my attention that there's
Okay.
some problems out there.
Could you write a letter to us explaining what our options would be? Would that be,
It-
Well,
because it's in the TIF, that's why it's a,
I think
I
our first
think-
option is figure out whether there's a causation connection between the two. If there's
Okay.
not if we can't prove a causation connection, we're just sort of blowing in the wind.
okay.
And how do we do that?
Yeah, I don't know how to,
Well,
yeah, I don't know how to do
you
that.
can
I
ask
think, I
Tom.
think this is
Structural engineer.
probably a discussion that we'd want to have in executive session.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we've
I
got to
didn't
that point now.
I know.
you know, because basically we're seeking legal counsel on a situation. I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Well, and I know, I didn't know. Okay, that's fine. At least we wanted where, then we will set up a meeting next week. Is that okay?
Or while he's here, if you want to just.
Yeah, because we're
I
kind of
can-
early.
You
Could
can
you
call it
hang
anytime.
around?
I've got to get back.
Okay.
unfortunately.
We would
Yeah.
set one for next week, just to
Okay.
discuss, but we wanted you aware, and then we'll fill you
We
in.
probably want Mike Wolf present also.
Yeah, okay.
Mike Wolf present.
And then hopefully by
So he
then we'll
could-
get more
he could describe-
specifics.
And maybe he can get some pictures and stuff.
Yes, so we get some
I think,
specific.
I think before the commission does anything, I think we would want to see something from the 911 center as by way of a request.
Okay,
And maybe some pictures or other documentation that they may have that's
Okay.
describing the problem.
Okay.
That way that we can have a little more structured discussion about it.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Okay?
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you
Sure.
very much. We now have Ladina Teets. Hello. You can come on down and sit here if you
Come
want.
on down.
Presentation regarding farmland preservation. Ms. Hawkins, did you want to say anything beforehand?
Well, I did invite Ms. Dietz down here because I would like to explore the options. We did have a commission created for farmland preservation, and Preston County has been doing this for at least 10 years, I believe.
Actually, this is our 11th. year.
11, okay. And she is the administrator in the county, so I thought, basically, Eldon, you wished information. So
that'd
to
be
try
great.
and get as much information as we could, I have invited her down to give a brief overview.
Thank you.
Are you related to the Teets from Brewston?
I am. All the Teetses are related somewhere along the line.
I know, I'm probably related to you too. I got
Oh, all
Teets in
right.
my family.
Okay.
Melanie Teets, married, I think Michael.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm mainly related to the Eglin Teetses through my husband, but you know, it's a small world. I found out I was related to Mike Teets, and I didn't know that, who's the assistant commissioner.
Yeah.
So, it is a small world when you start talking to people. I wanted to give you kind of a brief overview. I'm not sure what all you know about farmland protection. I do realize you have a board.
Little and nothing.
Okay, all right. Well, then
I'll start from there. How about that?
let me give you a brief overview of West Virginia farmland protection, Preston County farmland protection, and then I'll let you ask me any questions you want to ask. Actually, the West Virginia farmland protection was established in 2006, and Preston County's was established in 2004. So far to date, in West Virginia, there's 171 farms under easement, and this equates to 22,342 acres. Most of it is in the eastern panhandle. Morgan, Berkeley, Jefferson County, Hampshire County. There's been $50 million spent statewide, with an average of $295,000 for each easement, or that breaks down to $2,262 per acre. Now, there's a total of 20 counties in the state that has working boards. Mon County is one of the 3 that just has a board without funds. The other 17 are funded through the transfer tax.
Is it about the same as it was in 2006?
I think, well, there's been a couple, I think maybe Lincoln and, there's another little county.
Hazel left me a lot of his files, and I just happened to
Yeah. It hasn't
see
really
in there
changed.
that in 2006 they had a map,
Yeah.
and,
I think we-
most of the farmland counties was from Monongalia east. Yeah.
Yes, it just kind of goes like this around the state.
Right.
So I think Summers and Lincoln.
I think is the furthest.
Okay,
Monroe.
That's furthest southern.
yes, yes it is. And then Lincoln, and then Summers is in this, pretty much the center of the state. Preston County gets 1/3 of their county's transfer tax, which comes to about $100,000 a year. We were created in June of 2004. We have 3 farms. In our area, this is not something people were busting down the doors to do. We take applications as they come through. A lot of people think this is a get-rich scheme. It is not. There's a lot of rules and regulations that go through NRCS that you have to abide by. Nothing more than what the average farmer would if they chose to do so. 52 acre. We have 457 acres in Preston County with 52 of those being from Mon County. So we have a partnership already with some land in Mon County. Our land has averaged $2,435 an acre. And a little bit of facts on the easement itself. It's actually a legal document that is perpetual, goes with the deed no matter whoever the landowner is. Easements, once they have been put on the deed, can be sold, can be donated, can be inherited. An easement is subject to taxes, but not really any more than an average agricultural land. You know, they have inheritance tax, they have estate tax, and agricultural tax is lowered because of the fact that it is agricultural land, which it has to stay designated perpetually. The property, once the farmer decides to sell it and the easement goes to the next landowner, has to be sold as a unit. It can't be broken down into, you know, my son wants 5 acres here, 5 acres there. That all has to be established before the easement is put on it.
Is that flexible from farm to farm, or is that established policy?
That's established policy. What we do
Okay.
is we survey out the dwelling site, make that a 2-acre site, and then the rest of the farm. Now, if you choose to, say you have a 200-acre farm, you have 5 kids, and you want to give each kid 5 acres, we actually,
An acre apiece. So,
An acre
you-
apiece or 5 acres,
kind of-
whatever.
Right.
we don't put that in the easement. That's best left out, because what we're finding is when these are sold out, the kids will want to sell their house, and it's part of the easement and can't. So it's my job to make sure that the planning's done. In some cases, that
Do they
always.
build on it?
They can build on it,
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
yes.
On the 1 acre.
Trying to figure out.
On the
Yeah.
1 acre.
On the 1 acre, okay.
And now, if you want to, say you have an old farm here that hasn't had much done to it in the last 50 years, and I go in and buy that farm and say, you know, I want a poultry farm or I want a dairy farm, then through working with NRCS, we can change that farm to make it whatever we want to it. You can't just go and say, I'm going to go put a garage up. You know, especially if you have a trucking company, you can't do that. It has to be agriculturally based. So if you want tourism, if you want to have pony rides, if you want to have cattle, if you want to have sheep, if you want to grow carrots, anything agriculture, this farm is a go for. Anything commercial, it's stopped.
What about hunting camps?
Hunting camps are fine. Hunting camps are fine. It usually takes, this is not a fast process, and I'm sure you guys know anything you work with the government takes a while. From the start of an easement to the finish usually takes about 3 years. And that's, we start out with an environmental phase 2 I think it's called, to see where there's gas tanks, make sure there's septic tanks, all the way to when the lawyer signs the deed and we hand over the check. Takes about 3 years. The biggest problem we have in Preston County, and I'm assuming it would happen in Mon County too, is severed mineral rights. We have a lot of severed mineral rights, and if you
Right.
don't own your mineral rights, or you can't buy your mineral rights back, NRCS will not accept it. And we find the best bang for our buck is to partner up with NRCS and get the matching funds.
Now, you're referring to the fact of coal,
Yes, a lot of.
because if something is, you can't put as I understand it, you can't put a gas pad on the property, but you can drill underneath. Is that correct?
Exactly. A lot
So
of the
if somebody,
severed.
they can keep that right.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of the severed mineral rights happened in the 20s and 30s with coal.
Yes.
A lot of them don't even have any idea where they are.
Stephen Elkins.
Stephen
brought
Elkins,
up all the
exactly.
coal. All we have to do is go back to the 1900s to the 1920s.
I've seen his name a lot.
Stephen Elkins owns all the coal. He bought it from Washington, D.C. to the Ohio River. Guarantee you.
Now, as far as drilling goes, yes. You cannot disturb the surface right, but you can have a gas lease. It just has to be non-developmental, because with today's technology, you know, they can be half a mile away and suck your gas out. So you can have a gas lease, you just can't have a pond or a drilling rig on the property.
I guess I misunderstood what you said. Can you have an easement with
You can have,
severed
no,
utility? or
you
se-
cannot, if you
severed
don't
minerals
own
or
your
something?
mineral rights, we will not take your, we will not put an easement on the
Does
property.
that mean any minerals? Like a lot of these old coal ones, I mean,
Unfortunately.
A lot of them hand them back. I mean,
Yes.
I mean,
If you can get them back, we will accept it, but you have to own your mineral rights, or someone in your family, families can put an easement on a farm. So if, each of you have a farm and each of you own a third of the mineral rights, that's okay. One person doesn't have to own them all. But if Aunt Sis, who's in Florida, owns them and refuses to give her mineral rights up, I have to reject you. And that's a real problem, especially in West Virginia. Now, when it comes to gas, you can have a gas lease. You just have to have you have to find a gas company that will agree to make it a non-developmental. They don't like to do that. They want to know that they can go on the land and do whatever they want to the land, and USDA says no, they can't. And our policy all comes through the Farm Bill, and handed down through NRCS, and we abide by what they say. Probably the biggest thing is, as far as your program director, which I am in Preston County, is all the people I work with. Not only do I work with my county commissioners, I have to work with the farmers, my board, but probably the biggest person I work with is the EDA. Robbie Baylor, if you know her.
EDA.
Economic Development.
Oh, okay.
So
know
it's
Robbie very well.
she is on my board, I am on her board, and we work together simply because an easement can shut down the infrastructure, and we do not want that. So if I find that someone has brought an application in and says, in an area that I know they're putting gas and sewage line, or not gas, water and sewage lines in, I go to Robbie and say, okay, do we want to get an easement on this so you have a right of way before? Because we're not trying to shut down, farmers need water, farmers need sewage, this kind of thing. We're not trying to shut down anything. I work very closely with my economic development. I work with all the state agencies, the local and state NRCS, the Farm Service Agency, the State Ag Department, Walt Helmick, Mike Teets, the Association of Directors, and the West Virginia Farmland Protection Board. And one little statistic I wanted to give you is the United States loses 2 acres of prime farmland every minute to development. This is the fastest decline in our country's history. The U.S. Census, or the U.S. Agricultural Census, says that in 1935 there was 6.8 million farms. Today there's 2.1. Now, I don't know about you, and I know that development is important, but I also know that I like to eat, and if there's no farms, there's no food. So yes, we need to protect our
Is that
farms.
total farms or family farms?
That's total farms.
Total farms.
And when you get to the Midwest, you have thousands of acre farms.
Right,
West
yeah.
Virginia farms are, 100, 150. Most of them are pretty small. But one thing I want you to think about is you have a wonderful farmer's market. Where's your produce come from?
The store.
there are,
No, it doesn't come from the store.
I had to tease you.
actually, most of our produce comes from Garrett County and from
Preston
Preston County.
County.
There are 5, I think out of the 33, there are 5, but don't quote me on that, Ben.
Okay.
There are 5, I think, that are farmers in Monongalia
In
County.
Monongalia County.
And there's
Yeah.
a lot more of Monongalia County than just Morgantown. There are some nice
There were a
farms
couple.
out
There
there.
were a couple beekeepers and a woodworking, but that
Good.
don't qualify. Lot size.
Lot size, our average size is around 100 to 110 acres.
It's pretty much a rejection that if it's under 25 acres.
Yes, because
Thank you.
that's not really what
Because
we're looking for.
I use my farm as an example, and Tom and I had a discussion, and I was trying to explain to the fellow commissioners in work session what did or did not qualify. I campaigned on this, and I will state that for a fact. I did not campaign to make money for it. I campaigned so that I would have farmland preservation. I was willing to put my farm, as it is, if it would be accepted into preservation at no cost.
Okay.
You see,
And
because
you
that's,
can donate.
I understand that. That's a tax thing, actually, and there is a good tax thing to be gained by that, okay? But I don't qualify, all right? So let's make this perfectly clear
Well,
that I don't qualify.
Let me back up.
Yes.
Two things. We are not here to preserve farms.
Yes.
We are here to protect farms, because I find working with a lot of my directors, they have this idea they want to preserve a
Yeah.
farm. They want it to be green space. They want it to be this pretty little thing that you just look at. That's not my goal. I want
that's not a
farms
farm.
to
Well, I
stay
grew up on a farm.
farms. And
Anyone that's
and,
looked at
and
a
farms make money and they
Right.
produce things. So it's farmland protection.
There is, if I could give a true example, and I think this is a true example. Most of us who drive from the Glenmark Center come down that 4-lane road to go up Easton Hill. And there we see cows. Now, until a few years ago, they were white cows. That is Tal's Furman's farm. He has passed away. Yes, they were Charolais. Now there's Angus cattle there grazing. This is a place that I would offer up to say, that's a farm that needs to be preserved. Why? Because I can look right beyond it and see West Run. I do
And
not
people
want to see
like to
West
see
Run
that.
2.
Yeah.
So this is a major thoroughfare that is, and Mr. Furman purchased these farms so that he could farm. The Hurley farm is gone. The Weaver farm is gone. I could name all the farmers in Easton. Again, I'm from that area. I know it. My farm is gone. The interstate went through my farm. That's what happened to my farm. Okay? So that's why I live on such a minuscule acreage. I can't farm. I can't turn the tractor around on it.
Now, I will say that the board has the power. If you have a nice piece of land and it's 20 acres, and the board would say, we want to take that 20 acres, and it can be a farmette, you could produce,
I'm still not even at 20 acres.
well,
13 and a half. As I said, I can't
your
turn the
local
tractor
board
around.
can make that
Right.
decision, especially if you
But-
want to donate it.
Right.
NRCS will not match that kind of,
Exactly.
but if the county has the money and my board says, this
Well-
is a piece of land worth preserving.
I just wanted to
Or
be clear
protecting.
for the public to
Okay.
understand that, again,
That's
I
good.
campaigned on donation. I did not campaign on profit. Okay? I don't want to sell the easement. I
Okay.
will donate it.
And something you need to think about, even in the big cities, people like to drive by and see farmland. They like to see corn growing. Most everyone has roots to a farm. I own a farm, 126 acres in Preston County. There's something pretty about a farm, even if they don't know other than Grandma had a farm and we used to go there.
5:30 in the morning. when
Yeah.
you get up to-
We have sheep, so we're good.
No,
25 years we had a dairy farm. I like my sheep.
yeah. That
Would
was
it
when
be
you
safe
got
to
up at
say that
5:30.
Jefferson County has been the most,
Jefferson County
they
has
have
the most.
4,000 acres, do they not?
Yes, I think they have.
But there's a
44.
reason for that, though.
Right.
Why don't you explain that?
Well, Jefferson County is unique in the state. First of all, Jefferson County is kind of a bedroom to DC and Northern
Yes.
Virginia. And the advantage that Jefferson County has that we don't is people came out of Northern Virginia, DC, and bought farms and said, nothing more. Especially the apple orchards, because the apple orchards in Jefferson County were being destroyed like crazy. People with more affluent than probably all of us sitting in this room bought these farms, sold them very cheaply, or I won't say sold. They had an easement put on them for very cheap, and donated them to the farmland protection, because Jefferson County was going up in houses like crazy. So yes, Jefferson, Morgan, and Berkeley have a unique situation. The rest of the state does not have.
Okay. Can I ask a question? I'm a little confused.
sure
You
can.
said that you only have 3 farms,
We only have 3
okay,
farms.
that own that, but you've collected $100,000. Would that be a year? Or is that one time?
Well, it's a year. It's a yearly
So
thing.
you're getting $100,000. I mean, for 3 farms to run a program. And I don't understand that.
Right now we have every year we put about 2 farms through the pipeline.
Okay.
What we have spent, in my numbers here, I didn't give you all the numbers. We've spent about $373,000 on farms. I have about another we have spent $673,000 on farms. We
Is
have
that
ma-
in 11 years? I'm sorry to
That's
keep
in 11
interrupting, but I
years.
want to.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm
in
trying
11
to, okay.
years.
I want to try to
okay.
focus on the questions that I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out.
We have
Okay.
maybe I should back up. We have collected $1,112,800 in 11 years, okay? We have spent $673,000 of county funds on farm and administration. the NRCS has spent $439,000, and we still have a few $100,000 in the bank. I'm not sure exactly what. The very first farm we bought, which was in 2007, we spent an astronomical amount of money on that, just to have that first one, which wouldn't happen today
Right.
if I was the director. But to get the program going, they spent almost $500,000 on that farm, which is part of the Mon County farm. And I guess to start the program out, they wanted a farm, so they
Right.
accepted this farm. We are still having issues with this farm. I would not do that today. I think, and I believe when I first got here, you were talking about this is taxpayer money, and we want to do the best job we can with taxpayer money. That hasn't always happened in farmland protection. The last 3 or 4 that we have applied has been rejected because the funding to pay for this easement is you take the commercial dollars, appraisal easement, or appraisal, and you take the agriculture. Well, these two are getting closer together because agriculture is worth more than it used to be. So my appraisal has been coming back to about $900 an acre. Well, I think anyone sitting in this room says, if I have a 200-acre farm and you're going to offer me $1 million to put Walmart on it, or I'm going to walk in and offer you $900 to put an easement on it, my chances are very slim. So I've worked 2 years now, and in the last 2 years, my farmers have all rejected my appraisal price. We have to go with the appraisal price from the state Yellow Book appraisers. We can't just offer you
Right.
$3,000. So the appraisal rate for Preston County, and these farms were in the Terrata area where there isn't a lot of commercial growth, the appraisal difference was $900, and my farmers rejected me. Right now I have 2 going through to see if they'll do matching funds. Even if NRCS says they will not do matching funds, at $900 the county says we'll buy them even if we don't get matching funds.
Okay. Let me explain where, again, I'm not from West Virginia. People
Okay.
know that. I have no relation to a farm.
Okay.
I'm an inner city person. When I looked at your material, let me explain where my concern is.
Okay.
And I look on that third page, it says, once an easement is in place, the land is protected against development forever.
Correct.
Mon County is not an agrarian or an agricultural county. My concern is where I live, and I'm just using, it was Ashton Estates. I guess it was a really nice farm, from what I've been told. Now, back then, that person may not have been able to perceive what it would look like today.
Mhm.
I have a concern and question, why would I eliminate the right that if someone wants to then, the third generation wants to sell it for development, this technically would not allow that to happen, correct? Okay, that is a major concern. You're basically doing zoning or planning without an actual plan, and that's what worries me. Between the TIF districts that we're dealing with and then this, I have a real concern. And I guess where Ed and I disagreed was when we were talking and he said, when you drive down the road, he loves to look at the farm.
I do.
He does. I look at the opposite. I like to see development and the Ashton Estates and development so on. So I guess my concern is there's only one farm in Mon County, big working farm. Is that correct, what I've been told?
No, there's only one dairy farm.
One dairy
That's what I
farm.
said. Okay, there are many working farms left in Monongalia.
Okay, and from when I talked to several of the farmers, they called them, they were hobby farms. That's what they call them.
What you might define as what I've done.
Okay.
I was a dentist.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
almost everybody pretty much almost everybody today that farms has another job. I'm
Correct.
sorry, it is.
Because-
So my only concern is, why would we set up this whole another system with all this money for something that is so, may cause more problems 20, 25 years down the road, or spending money where we are not the Jefferson, Berkeley County, we're not even the Preston County. And I'm not being negative, I'm just saying, I don't understand, because when I'm representing the constituents, I see that as a general question being thrown out. How would you respond to that? So,
Well, I guess I'm like him. I like to see the open spaces. I like
Okay.
to see the cattle, the horses, the sheep, whatever, the produce, the corn. Have you ever been to Yosemite or Yellowstone?
no, I
Have
haven't.
you ever been to a national park?
Yes.
There's a reason national parks are set aside. It's because there's something there for all of us. Now, I realize that farms are privately owned, but do you want a world without green space? And I'm not talking about here now, because you can go West Virginia and see miles of trees and green. But also, living in Preston County and having my whole, well, since I was 5 years old, I've lived in West Virginia. Coming to Morgantown when I was 20, and coming to Morgantown now that I'm in my 50s, and seeing how much Morgantown has changed. Yeah, we're going to keep getting bigger. We're going to keep developing our land. How far do you want to drive before you can see green space? And farms are considered green space. You know, there's a 50-50 split on this. Some people want to see farms protected and keep on farming. And I guess my answer to you was this: America doesn't like being dependent on whoever for oil. Does America want to be dependent on China or Russia or whoever for our food? And
But you're looking at Mon County. How much food are we producing for your argument?
What
See,
is the-
I mean, I want to be honest. I mean,
Right.
that's you know, you're talking generic and general
Okay.
comments. I'm talking Mon County. And again, I'm not saying I'm pro-development, but if we tell a person that we have an idea or a plan, and that's one of the problems, we don't have a plan for Mon County. And that's why we're getting this. So now what we're doing is going to throw one more thing in the mix that isn't a plan that can just disrupt
Well,
this
keep,
situation.
keep in mind, Tom, first of all, this is voluntary.
yes,
Very few, I mean, you know, I did, you know, there's 366 square miles in Monongalia County, and there's 640 acres in 1 square mile. The most aggressive county, Jefferson, has preserved 4,000 acres of they've got 212 square miles. So you're not looking at something that is, I believe, as far-reaching as it seems to be. And there are people, I know farmers, I know Mr. Furman, if he were here, I know his 2 daughters, I think would be willing to participate in such a thing, to have the farm still be available for people to drive by and see those cows in the bottom.
well, and you know, one of you said about hobby farms.
Right.
You know, my husband and I had a dairy. He drove school bus simply for the benefits, the insurance. When you're self-employed, there's no benefits,
Right.
there's no insurance. And yes, it costs me the same to buy a car to put my kids through school as it does anyone else. So therefore, yes, my husband and I have sheep now. We both work off the farm because we may make $30,000-$40,000 on our farm. We're not considered a hobby farm. You have to have $1,000 or more produce to be considered a farmer. We probably have $30,000 to $40,000 of produce a year. We still can't live on that and keep the farm going. It's an expensive operation.
Right.
But do I want to see my farm go up in housing? No, I don't. I can't put my farm in farmland I want to say preservation now, protection,
Right.
simply because I'm a director. I think farmland needs preserved. Does it need to be in downtown Morgantown? You know, I know with the WVU farm, there's a lot of controversy there. Do we really need a WVU farm when we can sell it for millions of dollars and put things up on it? Maybe you don't want it right here around Morgantown, but what about the other half of the county that does have some farms left in it? I mean, I wouldn't put a farm in downtown DC either, because you probably, after a while, it would become a park. But that doesn't mean we don't need some farms close by. And yeah, most of our food comes from California. What's happening in California now? There's no water. So somewhere else has to pick up. And if you kept up with the Commissioner of Agriculture now, he is saying West Virginia has a lot of potential. We have the water. We can grow the food. It's just we have to get people interested in it again. Because farming can be a full-time job. and the potential is there to make the money.
And I know Eldon likes history, so I'll give him a little bit of history. The reason the Smith-Lever Act created 4-H and extension in 1914 was because children growing up on the farm were being told that to be somebody or be something, they had to go to the city. And so that was the exact reason that the Smith-Lever Act was passed, so that you would have a way of keeping kids, younger kids, on the farm to stay as farmers. And extension was created for the same reason.
Smith-Lever?
Yes, 19.
And
It created
what did it
4-H.
do?
It created 4-H and
Oh, it
extension.
created oh, yes,
Okay.
I've heard that before, yeah.
And that was the reason for doing it. Every
To keep them on
child,
the farm.
every child was being told to be successful, you have to do
Oh, yeah.
this, you have to go to the city. And it proved that, there were still, are we an agrarian society? No,
Not
we're not.
anymore.
That's,
The
but,
Industrial
but do we need to
Revolution.
feed ourselves?
Yes.
Yes, we do. So that's why I've asked, this is, there's no vote to be taken today.
Right,
This is
no,
simply-
it's a
I
discussion.
want information to be given.
Right.
That's why, and she's
Well,
on the list.
I think it's very helpful, and that information is helpful too, because, I'm selfish. I think the citizens of Monongalia County deserve it all.
Yes.
I do.
They deserve farms. They deserve development. Everyone, no one can doubt my commitment to development and growth and jobs and good paying jobs and economic development. Or I never forgot where I came from. I grew up on a farm. Small farm, little farm, but, 3 cows, and I held the tail when Dad milked the one because he only had one stall in the barn, so he had to hook them up different ways. I think we can have it all. I'm not saying what I'm going to do here. We don't have to make a decision now. I never make a decision until I have to make a decision. But I firmly believe that the citizens of Monongalia County deserve it all in every opportunity. We got the Blaney family, one of the great farmers of Monongalia County. Her mom and dad still farming. How old's your dad now, Carrie? 88.
And he loves his farm.
Yeah.
They always say you can take the farmer off the farm, but you can't take the farmer out of them. So
You can't take, can't take, that's what I was gonna say, you can't take him off of that.
well, I have 2 sons that went to WVU, have very good jobs, have moved to the city, but I tell you what, when they come home, they go back to being farm boys. So, my heart is in farming. I am not, I'll be the first to say, I am not a tree hugger. I am not, whatever unpolitical term you
Well,
want
most
to use.
farmers aren't, because they.
But I am a conservationist. I don't want to see the water get dirty. I don't want to see, the land polluted.
That's like saying a hunter doesn't want to keep their land clean and wildlife alive and well, and,
Yep, yes, they do.
of course they want to, because they like to hunt. I don't know, it's been very helpful,
Yes.
of what you come down here.
Well, you have my information. If you have any other questions, I would be happy to talk to you.
Well, I appreciate it, because I didn't understand, and this gives me a better understanding. I understand why Ed
You know,
now
and
had
you
you
can
come, because
fund
I didn't
it.
understand this.
You can fund it however you want to. If you think $100,000 is too much, you can fund it for $50,000, $60,000 a year. It's up to you guys. It just takes a while to get the pot big enough to match or buy.
To buy, yeah.
Yeah, however you do it. Oh, now, let me ask you another question.
Sure.
Are any of these, what do they call, Farm Bureau, what do you call them?
Boards.
What's your board name?
At Preston County Farmland Protection Board.
Okay, thank you. Any of these farmland protection boards cross county lines?
Monroe, who was the last one, yes. The director for Monroe also is the director for Lincoln and Summers County. So, yes, she gets the easements going for all 3 of those counties.
So technically speaking, you are part-time employed in Preston
I
County.
am a part-time employee. How I am set up is I work 1,000 hours a year. I usually am in the office Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If I want to take a 2-week vacation without pay, of course, I do. I don't get paid holidays. I just
what that means is that it would be possible for her to serve for
It would.
Monongalia County as well.
And
if
we have an
we
office
decided
set
to
up.
do something like this.
Well, I'm not interviewing you right
I
now.
understand. No.
I'm a big one for regionalism.
Yes, I am too, and I believe that this would be
Well,
a
and
good
it only
step.
makes sense that probably this should be done more often because it cuts the cost of everything in half.
Right, that's right. That's why I'm for metro government. There is so much administrative overhead and regionalization. That's the answer to West Virginia. Also want to make this comment about West Virginia. West Virginia, at least this is what I've always been told, is probably some of the hardest land to farm on, but can be the most productive if you know how to farm on a hillside.
Exactly.
That's what I've always heard. That's still the case.
It's hard to find a lot of flat land in West Virginia.
But it's hard to farm on, but if you're able to farm on it, it's very productive ground. That's what I've always heard.
I read an article the other day from Walt Helmick that said we could grow potatoes, probably better potatoes than Idaho, but it would be a harder job.
Right.
But the potatoes are wonderful grown in West Virginia.
If you know what she's referring to, there are centers being set
Mm-hmm.
up right now to process potatoes in the state of West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he's done, I think, a very good job in encouraging things to be done that would benefit the citizens.
That'd be very
that want to
productive,
farm.
yeah.
Yes, that want to farm. We could be providing West Virginia potatoes.
And another statistic, I love statistics, West Virginia produces $1 billion in agricultural products, but we import 7. So
$7 billion?
$7 billion worth of food product, and he would like to see that at least half, so that,
Well, yeah, I need to cut that down.
yeah. So, West Virginia has the potential, we just have to use it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
Appreciate you
your
coming
time
very
coming down.
much.
You're welcome.
Tell your husband I said hi, we're probably cousins.
Okay, I'll tell him that. You guys have a good day.
You too.
We now have Holly Childs, Executive Director of Mon County Development Authority.
Yeah, there's Holly. I'm not related to Holly that I know of.
You're not? Are you sure?
I'm not sure.
I'm not from Preston County originally.
I know, that's what I'm saying, that's why I said
That's
that.
probably why.
That's right.
So, thanks for having me down, and I was talking to Diane about getting, like, if it's every other month, or, I know Eldon, I see Eldon practically weekly, if not every other week for
Yeah.
sure, with all the meetings and all the projects we have going on, but I thought it would be a good idea if we established a regular schedule now that I've been 6 months on the job and kind of, we've got a lot of projects underway. It'd be good to have, whether they're work sessions, or I'm not sure what your format and what you would prefer, but kind of looking for feedback on that.
I suggest it'd be a good idea if she came every other month to a work session, just to update where we're at and what we're doing. I try to
Okay.
report it as what I can, but some of the details and stuff, she would be the better one to ask.
I agree.
We've got a lot going on. One of the things that I wanted to do today, and we do every year about this time of year, after July 1st, whenever the state fiscal year and our fiscal year as the Development Authority changes, we apply for the West Virginia Certified Development Community Program. That's an every 3-year certification. And then our Local Economic Development Grant Program, which is the $35,000, the matching funds that the County Commission provides, and then the state matches those funds. So what I came to ask for specifically today was a resolution of participation and cooperation to be passed by the County Commission. And so
Could you read the
Yes.
resolution, please?
Sure.
Okay. Whereas the County Commission of Monongalia County, the county's governing body, is interested in the economic well-being of its citizenry and the community at large, and whereas the County Commission of Monongalia County is prepared to support appropriate efforts within the community to become totally prepared to promote economic development, and whereas the West Virginia Development Office offers certified development community and local economic development grant programs that are specifically designed to help West Virginia communities become better prepared for industrial and related economic development. And whereas Monongalia County was initially awarded CDC status in April 1994 and has been renewed every 3 years since then, in 1997, 2000, 2003, 2006, 2009, and 2012, therefore be it resolved by the County Commission of Monongalia County that our county wishes to continue its participation in the CDC program and to participate in the FY 2016 LEDG program, and the leadership of this county fully realizes these programs require continued dedicated effort, And be it further resolved, the CDC and LEDG programs require the existence of a local economic development organization, and that this governing body designates the Morgantown Area Economic Partnership as representing our community for the purpose of participating in these programs. This resolution is in full effect upon its adoption this 26th day of August, 2015.
Move to approve the resolution as read.
Second.
It's proper moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes. If you want to hand it to us, then we'll sign it in blue. It's blue.
Blue? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one's blue.
That's why now keep this.
None of them are blue.
This one's black. I'll borrow your blue.
Yes.
Here, I have a black.
I need to tell you something. I have someone who needs 3 acres immediately.
Thank you.
Needs 3 acres immediately. We have to jump on it.
Couple of other things.
Go
I
ahead,
thought just
sure.
I just wanted to, and again, I don't want to, I want to wait to come to a work session and kind of give you a full briefing on the projects we're working on, but something that I want to certainly bring the commission up to speed on because it's on the streets now is just as of last Saturday, the 22nd, and it will run again this Saturday, we ran the Class 2 legal ads, and Eldon has been a vital part. This has been, I think I've worn him out, and the other Architectural Review Committee members on selecting an architectural firm for the redesign renovations of our Morgantown Enterprise Center building. So this is the building that the Mon County Development Authority and the Morgantown Area Economic Partnership are in currently. It's 14,340 square feet, 3-story building on Hartman Run Road. It's in the Airport Office and Research Park. So this building, it was built in 1988 as an incubator center and really incubated and kind of grew up Protea Biosciences. They are now moving out to private office space. They've been in our facility for 8 years, and we're going to renovate the building as, again, the county's kind of front door for small and emerging businesses to come in, to grow up, and have a couple of years to where they can really ramp up and then go out into the private market and obtain market rate office space. So this is a project we're currently working on. Just excited to tell you about it, and I could probably spend an hour telling you about it. But
Don't want to get me talking about it. I got all kind of ideas and everything.
We've all got a lot of. We've had a lot of ideas. We've had a lot of input from Eldon and the Architectural Review Committee members. And I'd be happy to talk with you offline, certainly not take up your meeting time on the building and what's going on with that. But just wanted to, in case the commission obviously was approached by any contractors or anyone currently bidding on the project, it did go out on the 22nd. We're going to have a mandatory pre-bid meeting for interested contractors on September 1st at my offices. Of course, you're welcome to attend that if you'd like more information, or we can talk personally. We can walk through the building if you'd like to do a tour. I don't know if the commissioners have been in the building previously, but Eldon has seen that since 1988, the wallpaper, the carpet, nothing has been touched in the building. So it's time, and it's something that I think can really be a source of pride for the county. September 18th, bids are going to be due. We expect it to be about a $2 million project, so we are putting together with our bank partners, the consortium, approach to financing for the project, and I'm happy to talk with you about
I'd like a tour.
all of this. Okay, that would be great. Should I just check with Diane and get that scheduled for you, or how's best to, I know you're all busy people.
Either way. Or
That may be
would be
the
personal.
easiest way.
That'd probably be easier. Just check with Diane.
Okay.
Get some dates from Ed. You can work it in.
Is there anything else that you have from me today? I mean, certainly welcome anytime, and we've got Development Authority meetings, and welcome to attend those anytime as well.
I appreciate all that you're doing, and you heard the farmland preservation issue, and I just wanted to update the commissioners, and they may be fully aware of this, but the Morgantown Area Economic Partnership includes Preston County, and we have Preston County involved with us. So we're in our economic development projects. We're very regionalized, and we'll continue to build on that regionalization. So I just wanted to mention that.
They are both a financial partner as well as a partner in every way, Preston County, with us on the Morgantown Area Economic Partnership. So.
Do you have a card by
I
chance?
do.
3 card. Well, you already.
What's that?
You already know, but I mean, maybe Ed and I'd have.
Oh, no, you all get what
Thank you.
Thank you very
what
much.
you
Okay.
Now's the time to ask her questions. Like I said, she's the one that knows more about it. I try to keep you posted, but she has the details if there's anything specific you wanted to ask. Chaplain Hill is pretty much finished.
Chaplain Hill, we did fall out of agreement on July 7th, and, Eldon's aware, and certainly both boards are aware. We had an agreement for 20 acres. That is the FedEx Distribution Center project that we'll be locating on the Lynch property in the backside of Kmart. So that project, everyone kind of knows about that project now. That's out there. So that project will actually be better served certainly by having that interstate access, by having that exit right there, and it does free up another 20 acres for us at Chaplain Hill. Since then, we've also had an offer, and so we have a piece of property that's under consideration now, lot 9, which is 3.33 acres, so that will probably close later on this month. We've sold 2 lots so far since July 1st, so we are quickly, as Eldon alluded to, building out at Chaplain Hill. We have about 15 acres left there now, and so if you have someone that's looking for 3 acres or 5 or less than 15, certainly, we'd be happy to talk to them about that. And Fort Martin as well. Fort Martin, March Weston is doing an expansion at Fort Martin, and so we are selling that last piece to them that's adjacent to their property as well. We are reserving the frontage along the riverfront so that we can do future riverfront development and expand the docking facilities there as needed.
And then we're update them also. We're finalizing plans for the Interstate 68 Commerce Park.
Correct. So the 95 acres, the I-68 Commerce Park, the 95 acres proper that we're in the process of purchasing from the city. It's on the backside of the airport. That's what the access road that everyone worked long and hard on for the last 5 years or so to get to the Readiness Center and to access that piece of property. Now that road construction is complete, we're about 45 days out from the transfer between us and the city. We were actually working with them on trying to figure out what to do. We originally had intended to swap 13 acres that we had on Hartman Run Road. Looks like we're going to retain that and do some flex industrial development ourselves. The Development Authority will be working on that property. The 95 acres we'll be purchasing and from the city, and we'll be developing that, as well as just on Monday we had a meeting with the adjacent landowners to that property, and so we will be looking at that entire piece of property, which is between 300 and 400 acres all told, as a future development of the I-68 Commerce Park. It'd be a large regional park, and we have big plans, and we'd be glad to show you kind of Larson Design Group that's been working with us, and Eldon again was part of the selection committee that selected our engineering firm for that, what we've been doing for the development of this new business park. But it'll be a mixed-use park, primarily office. There'll be some commercial interstate frontage right off that Pier Pond exit. That access is great. I mean, thank you for the foresight with the access road and getting everything done there to kind of move that forward.
That was Don Ranicky and Dan Boroff, Dan Boroff's baby.
Yeah.
Dan Boroff knew everything about it from the very beginning. He and General Tackett and Dan Boroff, that was their baby. They knew everything about it. Those are the two that deserves the most credit on that one. We just sort of came on the end and pushed it over. That's all. As you came up the end and pushed it through. But it was a good start, and I thought it was important that you heard the Cliff Notes version of all the number of things that's going on in the county.
Excellent.
All right.
I'll call you later on today.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks. My cell is on there, so.
Yes, thank you very much.
I've got another piece of are you leaving right away?
Am I?
Yeah.
I have a lunch meeting, but I can stick around for a little bit. If you'd
Stick
like.
around
Yeah,
for a
this
few
won't
minutes.
take long.
Sure.
'cause
2
we're
minutes.
at
I
the
want
end.
I want to give you something else.
Good.
I've got another
We're
lead
gonna make a
on something.
positive reason for you being here.
I got
Yes.
another lead on something I can give you.
Okay.
You're not busy enough.
Okay, we need the first reading of the rezoning request for September 9th agenda.
No, we're just setting that.
We're just setting.
Yes, the
Just
first
set.
reading of the consideration of rezoning will be, the first reading is September the 9th, with a public hearing to be held September 16th here in the County Commission meeting room at 10:30 a.m. So you make a motion to please to.
Do we
set
need
that
a
as-
time too, or just the date?
Well, the first reading will just be on the agenda as the first reading.
Okay, so we don't need a time in that
No,
motion?
No, we need
I would
time for
move
the
that we
public hearing.
set the first reading of the rezoning request from the Planning Commission for September 9th.
And do
Public
the
hearing
second part, the
September
public hearing, the
16th
16th.
at
And
10:30.
the second reading and public hearing for rezoning request from the Planning Commission on September 16th at 10:30 a.m.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes. Do we have any other new business? Okay, moving to elected officials. I see some, do we have, young ladies, do we have anything to?
I don't have anything, I don't have any figures for you, but I can tell you that the online tax payment procedure is being used by a lot of people.
Is it?
Still a little, we're still working on making a few improvements as far as directing people
Easier, yes.
easier for people to navigate, but I think you'll be surprised by the numbers that I'll bring next week.
Okay.
Just how many people are actually gonna take advantage of it. It's a good thing.
Good.
I've had several calls and emails about it also.
Positive.
It's very
Well,
positive.
please pass on that we're very appreciative of that. Did you want to say anything, Karen? Okay. See, there's no one else here. Okay, reports from county commissioners.
My only report is simply to request if somebody does have something they wish to state about farmland preservation, that they would send us an email so that we may have the input. This is what this is for, why the discussion is being held. If the public is not for this implementation, then of course it shouldn't be done. So let's see where you stand. Thank you.
Okay. Eldon?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I would just echo that. We need to, on that as well as other issues, I always want to hear what people have to say. Other than that, I really don't have anything.
Okay, just two quick things. One, I do want to clarify, since it was in, again, the paper, I wasn't going to say anything, but in the paper it said again today, and I think all three of us would agree, there was never any agreement with the Board of Education on funding a position either at Westwood or south of a police officer. I just want to get it clear. There had never been, and since it was stated again by the superintendent, I just want to clear that up. It was never at any time, there was discussion, but there was never any agreement. So that's the first.
Can I
Sure, go
help
ahead.
clarify that a little
Yeah.
bit? Because when we put things out, we want to make sure it's totally clear.
Right.
When we agreed to help out, given what was considered, for the want of a better word, dire circumstances that existed at Westwood, Westover was in no position to act or participate whatsoever. In that, we used one of our officers and paid for half of it, I believe. I think we paid for half, I think.
Yes.
In that meeting, that was back in the February or March of February, I believe, the question was, well, we would like SRO officers in all the counties, or in all the schools. And in the general discussion, it was said that, well, if it's the municipality should pay for it. If it's in the county, then the county should pay for it. This was just sort of throwing things around. At one point, it was said, well, what about the idea of a third? And as I often do, I said, well, everything's open for discussion. And I'm the one that said it. So, I said, everything's open for discussion. That's certainly something that we could consider. But there was no commitment. We then, in May, I think, or June, received a letter from the superintendent saying, we're going to hire SROs in these schools, and you're going to pay a third, the municipality's going to pay a third, and we're like, what? We never agreed to that. What are you going to do? Well, nothing was followed up on.
Right.
They didn't come in, they didn't submit a request, there was nothing offered. Now, whatever the confusion is, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, but this story starts getting legs of its own because it's not the whole story is not being told. We are not, and I will not authorize the payment of any expenditures or commitment to any agreement in a community leadership forum, and that was where it was pointed at as where we all committed to it. Ed wasn't even there, so I know he couldn't have committed to it.
Yeah, it's a planning commission.
You know, so the community leadership forums for communications and communications only, there are no decisions made there. There are no commitments made there. There's no bargains made there. So the letter came, it sat, nothing was done. There was no request to appear until this last community leadership forum. I was not even aware that it was an issue. I thought it was resolved because he never followed up. He sent a letter and thought the letter basically said he thought it was a good idea that we did it this way, but he never followed up. No request. We got to have a specific request before we vote to expend money. We can't just all of a sudden sit here and say, oh, we're going to throw this person money or this group money. We have to have a specific request. All three of us have been totally committed to that in our whole budgeting process and everything. Ed was detailed looking at those statements from organizations and groups. So it kind of surprised me that he keeps throwing that out, because there was no request. There was no formal request for that to be paid inside the cities. It was never followed up. It was never presented. So this is the whole background story, and I hope we can lay this to rest once and for all. There's no change of heart or change of mind. It was never asked, and it was never agreed upon. I hope that explains.
I think that does, yeah, very clear. The other thing, let's switch gears to a very positive thing tonight, and I know Holly will be glad to hear this. The 3 county commissioners have been asked to attend the baseball game, the West Virginia Black Bears tonight, 6:30. We will be receiving a plaque for us having been designated the #1 professional baseball park in the country. And we're the small single-A short season, and now it has become, they are coming from Texas to deliver that, and the 3 of us are going to be able to receive that.
I regret to inform you, my 4-H organization.
Oh,
is
okay.
this evening.
Well, you will be there in spirit.
I will be
I mean,
there
and
in
we will
spirit.
make sure, but yeah, I was told I'm
This
not
is
even
already
allowed to
scheduled.
speak. All we're allowed to do is receive it. So there's even no
Am I allowed to
speaking.
bring my grandson?
No, it's only, you can bring them, you just can't put them on the field. It's
Why
all-
not?
It's the
It's our
commissioners.
field.
Well, that is what they've requested, so.
All right, Diane already.
Yeah, we have it. We already have it
told me,
covered.
but I had to give you a hard
Yeah,
time.
we had to cover it.
Can't you negotiate any better than that? No, I'm teasing
Yeah.
you, Tom.
No, but we're very excited, and I think that just says a lot because of the development, and I know that we're very excited about it. And I thought the best comment they said in the article was, it is the best view from the stands at looking at a parking lot in the country. So, again, it's just very positive. We hope to see everyone out there. That is it. If we have nothing else, I ask for
Move to adjourn.
Second.
properly moving second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is now closed.